Hi everyone, welcome to Sunday Run Day, the special edition of the Blackall 100 recap and wind up from last weekend. How you going, mate? Have you recovered yet?
Hey, Brado. Yeah, as much as you can recover with a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old in the house. So
yeah, she was a bit of a...
I actually probably got more sleep over Blackall weekend than I would normally do. So
maybe I should have started too, mate, by introducing, this is Simon from Run Queensland as well, and he's one of those. He's the one, the giant there, and then he gives those big giant wingspan hugs at the end of the event. You spent a lot of time there, mate.
Yeah, that was probably my longest stint. I think I started with the first 21K, and I was there until 5:15 when the last ones come home. So it was a long session.
It was certainly a big weekend, which we might as well get straight into it and talk about a few of the things that we experienced before we get into some of the running. I know for us and for a lot of people, especially from being smashed by, the first thing that happened was the timing went down. That was huge, which everyone would have experienced. We were getting phone calls pretty much right from the start from people trying to follow their runner, right through to people at the end that just didn't have results, and we've sort of been working with that for the last week. So I thought it'd be easier to answer a lot of that sort of stuff in this call.
Yeah, it was disappointing, right? It's no one was probably more disappointed than us, especially you. I know you took it pretty personally on Saturday morning, but yeah, I got to commend the guys for the way that we sort of worked around it, but it wasn't up to the standard that we set ourselves. So it made it for a very difficult day for us, I guess. Do you want to tell us what happened?
Yeah, it was horrendous. So basically, what happened was apparently 200 events worldwide had this happen. There was the servers are held with a company in Denmark, and basically there was a system update, and it threw some sort of bug into a system and basically crashed their whole system. So right from the get-go, we were had some timing, not timing. We could see certain people, from our point of view, it made it really hard to track runners. So we were relying a lot on our checkpoints. It just was a nightmare and embarrassing, actually. For me, it's really embarrassing. It's one of the things that we kind of pride ourselves on, is that whole weekend. So for those that are still looking for times, I believe that most people now have some sort of split times up. So you can contact us, at brett@runqueensland.com if you want to query a few things. We've pretty well got everyone's results there now. We had to manually record, which for me, it felt like being back at Little Athletics in the 1980s. It was, and all of our teams sort of jumped in, and as you can say, you were awake like me the whole night, just trying to manage this nightmare, which must have been frustrating for the runners. Well, I know it is, because I've taken calls and emails. So I know a few people wanted to know about what was going on. I just thought it's easier to send this out Sunday night via an email and go with that, but it was horrendous. I mean, you were there, mate. We had loads of weird stuff happen that day. I mean, we had that brand new PA system, and as the 50K women's winners were coming in first and second, and they're like having this ding dong battle, our sound just went. It was just bizarre what was happening at the start finish line.
Yeah, I don't know if we jinxed ourselves in the lead up there, because we had such a seamless week, starting from the Sunday prior, like other than confusing our Thursdays with Wednesdays, we just everything was seamless. Friday night was great, and the pack down on Sunday was fantastic. I think as far as the day goes, it didn't impact the runners between the start and the finish line, so which is what is important. So yeah, it's embarrassing, but I'm going to cut us some slack and said at least the experience was the same. Probably wasn't from the outside looking in. And what I did hear on a podcast yesterday was that there was a lot of great social media updates from people that were out there, whether they were volunteers or crewing, and so people could piece together a bit about what was going on. So at least they could still follow. It was probably the best women's 100K race just about ever, as far as I know, in Australia. It was just unbelievable. So yeah, it took the gloss off of an incredible day performance-wise up the front there. So
yeah,
but all we can do is apologise, and so yeah, all we can do is apologise. And what I do know is Bretto was at 5:15 on Sunday night. Bretto was looking into the issues and work around. So it's a priority for us to get right. I mean, starting in December at our next event. So we don't want to have to go through that again.
Yeah. We've already met with our timing. They're great. And actually the guys that we deal with are local people and they're great people. You know, I've already sat with them. It's really funny. We're already planning 2023. I think the kind of saving grace when I've read a bit of the social media is that I feel that the community of what this event's brought together in the last 9 years is something that, I don't know if this is the right word, saved the event for me. Because for me, it was just this time consuming, not being able to even connect with a lot of the runners in the same way that I normally get to, because this became such a huge thing for us to try to solve. And I mean, you know, my son-in-law, Matt, and as we lovingly call him Timing Matt, basically said this system's crashed, and all of a sudden he knew, and he was on the phone for ages. But, you know, it doesn't take away from, you know, what happened out on course. I know that everyone had a great time. I don't think I've seen that many people dress up. I mean, it was like a bloody fancy dress party out there from what I could see and hear and all that. So, you know, there was some amazing stuff that happened, and, you know, well, you know, we've tried to work through it and fix it, and hopefully those results reflect that now. So apologies to everyone for that. And yeah, should we get on to the racing, mate?
Yeah, I just like talking about all the dress ups and everything. It's hard to imagine year after year, like how it's going to be better. It's like, oh, it'll be the same as last year. And we like to try and raise the bar, but one of the ladies who's been at eight of 9 years, she brought it up. She's like, the vibe was actually, it gets better every year. And we never got a chance to sort of get out on the course and experience it too much. But yeah, that's just a credit to the people and the volunteers. I watched my finish line video came up from a few years ago, and there must have been about 9 or 10 people in the hall, and that was just before midnight. We must have had 150 people in the hall at 2 o'clock on Sunday morning. It was just magical. It was really good. So yeah, let's talk about the run.
Definitely a special event, mate. There's no doubt about it. It's morphed into this I guess special event that, you know, we come together and celebrate all things trail. I've read a couple of stories from people and they just make your heart sing. So anyway, that's good. Let's talk about some racing.
Yeah,
some of that happening. Let's start with the 21K.
Was that part? Yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, the 21K, I had the privilege of starting. It was interesting out there. We made a couple of changes this year to the bus. We pushed the start time of the bus back. The last couple of buses just got held up in the road closure. They were just running a little bit late. If they were 5 minutes quicker down the road, they would have been there a bit earlier, wouldn't have been in the road closure. They still got there with plenty of time to spare, but it meant for the people in the last two buses that they were at the back of the very long dunny queue. It was pretty long, and we doubled up the number of dunnies we had out there this year. So we'll put some more dunnies out there next year.
I'll tell you what, mate.
Now we can talk racing.
we do a couple of events, right? I suppose the next one kind of daybreak and the night run. I reckon you need half the toilets at the night run that you do at the daybreak run. There's a lot of nervous people in the mornings, I can tell you that.
Yeah, no one's nervous at 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so the race itself, you want to run through that, Bretta? You got the results in front of you there? I got a few
here. Okay. So I've got the females here. So we had first was Hayley Teal in 2:14.23, second Vanessa Page in 2:21.25, and Michelle Martinez 2:24.42. 21K male winners were Bram Demunak 2:06.12, Noosa Nutters Howie McCann in 2:10.21, and Stephen Maskill in 2:10.48. So that was an interesting one. I think the course this year may have tested a few people a bit more. The times are a little bit slower than normal. I think that's the first time no one's ever gone under 2 hours at the event. So I believe that the trail was a little bit harder between Broome Pocket and Condalilla.
Yeah, well, I marked both sections of trail on there, and it was definitely a lot slower, like just with the amount of rain that we've had all year. It was way more washed out. It was a lot more slippery. So you did have to pay extra attention. You couldn't just let yourself rip through there. So I'm not surprised that the times were slower.
Yeah.
Mention, I unfortunately forget the name. I don't know if it was the lady that finished second or third in the 21, but she was she's a lady from Brisbane, from Queensland Police, and she actually worked the night shift, and she got her dates mixed up. So she drove up straight after her night shift and slept in her car for a couple of hours, and then jumped on the course, and put up a pretty good result. I think she just wanted to run home and get back into bed. So good effort. And then Hayley's been injured for a long time, so it was good to see her back in racing. So you might see her in one or two of the longer races next year.
Yeah, it looks like she had a pretty solid run. She looked pretty comfortable at the end. She wasn't chased too much. I think Bram and Howie were going at it for a little bit. I noticed when Bram crossed the line, he'd had a stack, he'd had a beauty, so he had a bit of bark off his knee. So they looked like they had a good run out there.
Yeah, and there was also I think the theme throughout the weekend for me too was the number of family members that were out there. And it might have been father and son, father and daughter, whatever it was, but there was it seemed that there was a lot of family efforts, and I think the 21s were a fair few of them started. I know one of the young girls was racing in the 21 and her mum was in the 100K, so it's becoming a family affair as well. Well,
that's what the event brings, mate.
Which we love.
We do. Shall we go to the 50 kilometre?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to the men's first. So they were kind of hard at it with this one too. You got third place was Peter Van Heerden, 5 hours. Martin Jansen was 4:44.37, and Luke Davison with a repeat of the year before, won again in 4:37.08. And then for the women, mate, this was full on. This is when the PA cracked itself for us. So you had third was Claire Game, 5:26.48. Helen Greenfield, 5:12.59, who was last year's winner, and Jane Hoskin in 5:12.17. So 40 seconds. 40 seconds for 50 kilometres. We were in the middle of trying to fix the PAs. This thing happened. It was but geez, they were running hard. They were going hard.
I'd like to know from Helen if she could see Jane when she came in the gate, or if Jane was around the corner. I feel like she was 40 seconds. She was probably around the corner already, but that would have been all right if you could see who you were trying to run down.
Surely, with 1.5 Ks to go, I'm sure that Helen must have been able to see Jane.
You would have seen her going down
the road.
For sure.
Because I mean,
and then it's also like, do you know?
What would that be? A couple 100 meters, probably 300 meters, maybe.
I could probably put about 800 meters into you over that distance, mate. Over that time,
you'd have no drama doing that these days, I'll tell you. Yeah, but and also had another good run. He looked like pretty comfortable when he finished.
He did. So I reckon he ran about a 4:45 last year. So he was a fair bit quicker, and he looked way better because he was pretty green last year when he finished. I think he was probably being run down a bit harder, but yeah, he looked great coming in. So yeah, nice to see him defend his title, if you like. Yeah, and yeah. Good to see a few of the old boys in there. Dylan Cole-Jones, 50 to 59, coming fourth. Yeah. Shout out to the old fellas.
Yeah, yeah. What are you doing that for? That's me. He had a good run. He had a real good run, and then went out on course to checkpoint 5, and from what I believe, dressed up in what looked like to me some sort of tartan dress.
Yeah, it was good of him and Howie also went out there and got dressed up after his day on the 21, so they can't get enough of it, those fellas.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it looked pretty good out there. It looked like fun. I'll tell you what, they would have been great to come into. We'll go to the 100. We'll go to the hundreds now, and then we'll just have a little chat about the conditions, what we've sort of seen and stuff like that. So, so the 100K, it looks like basically, I think, you know, Sam DeMauti, 10:22.18, Tom Brimlow in second in 10:20.50, Charlie Boyle 9:57.11. Just he missed the course record by about 3 or 4 minutes, I think. The women was Lucy Bartholomew 11:01.17, Megan Brown 10:52.33, and Risha Lewis 10:46.14. I mean, they were amazing 100K runs, those ones. I mean, you know, Charlie, we'll talk about the men, I guess, first. You know, Charlie coming back after 5 years, hasn't been there to run that. He'd never run that course before. That was amazing how he put that together.
Yeah, I was interested to see how he would go. He had never run the bluff before, so just running that section, a bit more technical, a bit more climbing. So that was not the question mark, but I thought if he's going to come unstuck, that's where it might be. But he clearly thrived on it, so it was good to see. Hopefully, we see him back next year. Yeah,
he's already talking about it. I've had a chat to him already, so he's sort of putting it out there. I think, you know, he always focuses Gold Coast Marathon. I guess how he pulls up from that. Tom had a great run for second, and actually the boys second and third. Geez, you know, 2 minutes. It's not very far over 100K.
Yeah, because Tom had a difficult year last year, and I know he was there to set things right. And chatting to him afterwards, he thoroughly enjoyed his day, and it was very complimentary of the event. So it was nice of him. Yeah,
he had a solid run. And then, then you go to the ladies' race. I mean, that was a race that sort of changed throughout the day. I got to see him come in. Charlie was in front, pretty much. I guess for the men, Charlie was in front from pretty much the start to the finish. But the ladies, you know, that changed a little bit throughout the day. You had when I seen the women coming into the 22 at CP2, Lucy was in front, then Risha was second, And Megan Brown was a fair way behind for third.
Yeah, she
And
was.
she sort of settled into a day. And I think by the time they came out, Risha was in, so they kind of went into the checkpoint almost together, Lucy and Risha. And Risha came out. And she said she had a rough day of it to me. And I thought, man, I'd love to have a rough day like that when you can knock out 10:44 in those conditions. Far out.
It was, Lucy came in probably 30 odd seconds ahead of Risha and went over to her crew and started cooling down a bit. And I thought Risha sent the message when she just strolled in, dropped her pack on the ground, put the other one on, didn't look at anybody or anything. She just ran straight out the gate. It's like, oh, she is not here to have a chat. She's out. And yeah, it was great. And Megan came in the complete opposite frame of mind. You know, it's she's always is happy, but she was just super happy, and I've got no doubt her approach to the first half of the day is what resulted in the back half. You know, it was yeah, cool, calm, enjoying herself.
That's almost, I think, for her about 40 minutes faster than she's ever done it. I mean, and in saying that, there's only 3 women that have ever gone under 11 hours too. You know, you got Risha's done it twice now. And I mean, Risha was about 3 minutes slower. So, I mean, and she said that was a bad day. I mean, I don't know. I think, you know, she looks strong, but I guess, you know, she knows how she feels within
so she's got a torn hamstring. I saw that she had a post up there today. So I think she has two tears in her hamstring, and because she was planning to go down to UTA next weekend, and she's wisely pulled the pin on that. But she obviously had issues going in, so she was doubting herself early, and you could see the way she moved into the finish line. She wasn't moving as freely. So yeah, really gutsy effort. As she said, it's her home turf, and
yeah,
she was there.
She's
there
tough
for the chocolate.
It'd be interesting to see, because I suppose I don't know what Brownie's plans are for next year. Well, I would assume that Risha's coming back. She always says, "Oh, that'll probably do it for me," but mate, she always pulls out a big one in our race. So I don't know. It's well, be interesting to see if they come again.
The Brownie, not only did she run a 40-minute PB, she ran about a 30 or 40-minute PB from the year before, because she was so stoked to be under 12 hours last year for the first time.
Yeah.
So, you know, she's she's really made some big gains. I don't think you can discount how much of mental switch just getting through Western States would have on somebody.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Tough time. So she's very confident. So yeah, 2 very informed ladies. And then obviously welcoming Lucy after, I mean, 2 or 3 years of trying. Well, I think it's about 6 years of trying for you to get her up here. It was
yeah,
great to bring her up, her and her family up, to experience it all, and prove that we weren't telling stories when we said it was a good place to be for the weekend. And she had a fantastic run, and I know she's, you know, was pretty down after her Western States and that sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully that sets her back on a good path. She gets over this bloody triathlon nonsense that she's on about.
I know. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Come on, Lucy.
Come on, you're better than that, Lucy. Come on. No, she look, and I feel like I did read something where she's kind of felt like something clicked for her, that real passion for the trail again. You know, we got to spend a bit of time with Asher and Dad, and they really enjoyed it. So I'm really glad that they really got to feel what the Blackall100 is about, and the hospitality the event brings, and how people just feel welcome. I've read lots of that. So yeah, so anyway, that's all those top 3. How about on course? We had quite a few DNFs. I haven't had a great look at all these yet, but I know that we picked a few up. How was the humidity for people? Lovely.
How's the humidity? Yeah, but you know, it got it cooled down really quickly too.
At night, yeah.
Well, and even in the early after, or maybe late afternoon, like it was just a cool change came through. So I think in the 100K anyway, if you just didn't overcook yourself and you know, looked after yourself through the morning, it was beautiful running into the evening.
Yeah. Oh, look, it really took a few people out. You know, obviously Gav's Gut Buster and all that does its trick again on people. I know that the Halfway Oasis certainly got its normal workout, and you know the Sunny Coast Trail Chicks do unreal with that, and you know keep quite a few people in the game. But you know, and the other thing is too, you got to know when it's, you know, the game's up, I guess, and for a lot of people that pulling the pin is the right thing to do. But you know, it was it felt like there was a high DNF rate. I'm not sure. I know Gav out on course was telling me that it was, he felt that it was busy.
Yeah, I mean, we've got that group chat with all the DNFs coming through on there,
Yeah.
but it just felt like it was always going. Like it just never stopped, you know. So, but,
I like how we laugh about, you know, when it gets tough with this course. I mean, I'm not laughing about the DNF. I just think that's what ultra running, you know, there's all these times when you got to make calls, and you can use that in your life, hey. But I'm convinced that before people get to checkpoint 3, they've either had too much sugar or something like that. So anyway.
yeah. Well, I was talking to somebody this morning about this at Parkrun, and you've got to, if you're not injured, you've got to just you've got to leave checkpoint 3 because you're intimidated. I know it's hot and the bluff's up ahead there, but you're only 20 Ks in. Like you've got to, if you're trying to get to the finish line, or this is going to sound dumb, but you have to leave checkpoint 3. You've got to give yourself a chance. You know, don't make that your out because your crew's sitting there. Maybe we shouldn't allow crew out there, and then people would push on from there. You know, but it's it's part of the day. I don't know. I just think to give yourself a chance, rather get up to Delicia Road, and if it's still not going your way, then maybe think about it. But what does Dean say? Never quit at a checkpoint.
Yeah. Oh, there's times where you got to, though. I mean, I could see some people that, you know, their day was done when we got them. So yeah, but mate, I think we had a great weekend. I hope everyone else did. I really do. And because we'll have to start winding it up, mate. I'm looking here, we're running out of time. So
I also think I'm going to add this in. Too many people, I know it's got to fit it in with your day, but go for a run at 10 o'clock. You train through the nice cool winter in September. Do your long run at 10 a.m., not at 5:30 a.m. when it's nice and cool.
Yeah.
All right, wrap it up.
All right, mate. So next year's event, Saturday, 14th of October. We're looking forward to, you know, building up to another year, our 10th year. So entries will open 1st of March. Mate, we'll get this timing sorted, and we're going to have a great 10th year. Can't wait to celebrate that. Never thought we'd get here, so it's going to be, I'm pumped for that. How about you?
Oh, mate, can't wait. We've started working on a few things already. So it's like Christmas for me. My year runs from mid-October to mid-October. So I'm looking forward to it already. And I know from what I've read, a lot of other people are. Between now and then, we've got 2 beer wires to get through, one in December, one in January. Beer wire at night. Entries are open for that. The Nobby sea towels, I signed off on them yesterday. And there's a new design in the works there, which we're not going to share just yet. But yeah, totally new design, and the team at Nobby have been working on that. Obviously, then we've got Yandina 5.0 with the new 35K distance. And New Year's Day, Rainbow Beach entries will open. Is that right? New Year's Day?
New Year's Day, mate. Yeah, first, and that'll be on the 29th of July, I think it is. So back to the Saturday now because of the tides. So, mate, that's it from us.
Saturday,
Looking forward to seeing everyone at the daybreak run, mate.
Yeah, what a pleasure. Gonna eat some of those chocolates.
Chocolate. Yeah, travel mugs too, mate.
And I probably won't see you until the big 5-0 birthday bash in a few weeks' time, mate.
Jeez, I'm getting old. All right, mate.
Make sure everyone's here.
Take care, mate. Thanks for all you do with the event.
Thank you, brother.